Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of staying calm and keeping on. Let's get to it. Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, Tom coming at you. Thanks so much for tuning in again. And this particular video, I wanted to stress the idea of staying calm in the middle of a crisis. Obviously, we're dealing with two really important, monumental, historic, epic events that are occurring in the world simultaneously. This is actually a very unique time in history, First is the health crisis that everyone around the world is experiencing with the coronavirus. And then, of course, the second one is the financial crisis that just happens to be timed perfectly at the same moment as the health challenge that came out of Wuhan, China. And I actually learned something pretty recently about what might have started the challenge health-wise in the first place, but I'm going to do a different video on that. So make sure you stay tuned in and, of course, subscribe to the channel so you know when I put that video up. So for this particular video, what I'm talking about obviously is the health challenge around the world and all of the lockdowns and all of the fear and the stress that's being caused not just on people financially, but emotionally and psychologically. You got to remember something, having everything that you're used to come to a screeching halt or change basically what feels like overnight can be quite traumatic for any person. It doesn't matter how far removed you are. The effects of this particular health challenge are being felt and will be felt for a long time. Now, combine that with a hyperinflated U.S. economy. Now, the reason that's so important for a global economic perspective is that the U.S. dollar is what all of the other currencies are actually attached to as a standard, because all of the currencies around the world are fiat or fake. And I've talked about that in other videos, so make sure you check out those videos if you don't understand what I'm saying. Basically, the US dollar and all currencies around the world are not attached to anything of value. They're fake money. It used to be that money was associated directly with silver or gold or something of value, even whiskey barrels or cows or tobacco or something, real estate. So that used to be the case. But then in 1971, and even before that, the U.S. had gone from using a gold standard to a fractional gold standard, and in 71, Nixon was forced, actually, to close the gold exchange window for fear of complete monetary collapse because of basically the fraud that the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve had foisted upon the entire world.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
So now what we've got is the US dollar is supposed to be the anchor that all of these other fake monies are attached to.
We did have multiple reserve currencies before in the 1920s. He's right about that. And there was sterling and the dollar, but they were both anchored to gold. And in the post-Bretton Woods world, since 1944, it's been one reserve currency, which is the anchor, and it was anchored to gold until 1971. Since then, the dollar has been detached from gold, but all the other currencies are still linked to the dollar.
When you have a currency attached to gold, it's like attaching it to the ground. It doesn't blow around. It just stays where it is, maybe a little bit of movement, but not a lot. And that's very difficult for governments who want to expand their influence and expand their reach. Unfortunately, monetary policy like that has proven throughout history, and in any kind of empire building, has always proven devastating to a great nation like the United States or like Rome or even the Byzantine Empire. I mean, it's just, history is wrought with examples of countries starting out with a gold standard, becoming extremely prosperous, and then defaulting later because they go off the gold standard and they fraud, they basically chip down the value of their money by becoming fake money, paper money, or even just fractional money. So fractional being fraction of gold.
These are still linked to the dollar. So at the end of the day, we've had an anchor of some kind. We've never had a world of multiple reserve currencies with no anchor.
Because the US dollar is not attached to gold, and because of the other currencies now having trouble, and because of this hyperinflated economy, it was already due for correction. It was already completely overblown and completely manipulated by the Federal Reserve and the US government. We're not talking about free markets here. We're talking about markets that are consciously manipulated by the central banking systems all around the world and governments all around the world. And the only reason that's so important to realize right now is because it's so obvious that they, number one, have been doing it, and number two, have failed miserably at doing a good job. Now, mind you, they're doing a great job at protecting themselves with bailouts and all of the different money that they're begging for us, the taxpayers, to pay. However, everybody else was supposed to be their responsibility. So this particular video is actually my realization that in this situation where you've got an entire planet consumed by fear and panic of two epic proportion challenges, health and finance, that it was actually really important, at least to me personally, to present a video that reminds everybody what's really important. What's really important is how you feel, how your family feels, and the loved ones, and your loved ones, and your friends, and people around you. So what do I mean when I say that? Everything that occurs, all of this that's happening, once it's over, everything will continue as normal. I don't know about how many people are watching this video that actually lived through Y2K, but I actually had the incredible experience to actually survive Y2K. I'll never forget it. People were up all night waiting for midnight to hit on the year 2000 because computers were supposed to stop working and the planet was going to stop spinning. Electricity was going to turn off, water was going to turn off, everything had been connected to computers, and we had been sold the fear, the idea that if those computers weren't corrected, if their software couldn't accept 4 numbers instead of just the 2 that had been programmed in for years and dates, that they were just going to shut down and we wouldn't have anything in terms of, services, and there would be mayhem in the streets. And actually what happened was when midnight hit, everything was fine. Everything kept running. The lights were still on. The water kept running. Trucks kept bringing food into cities. Trains kept taking goods and services back and forth. People kept going to work. People kept providing services. It actually was almost underwhelming what occurred. It was Happy New Year and everybody was excited for the new year, but afterwards it was kind of like, that was it? Y2K, that was the big deal? So there might have been some bugs with some software systems, but there was not near the huge breakdown that everybody thought that there was going to be. And so I have to believe that the same thing is going to be true with this particular situation as well. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm suggesting, okay? I want to be very clear here. As far as this health challenge goes with this virus, there hasn't been anything like this in as long as I can remember. The Spanish influenza or smallpox or all of the different diseases that have come along and have plagued the world at one point or another. And the cause of them is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is surviving them and helping yourself survive them. And as far as the financial crisis goes, there has not been as severe a depression in money and in economy and in social awareness and social psychology as there was since 1929. And it's not going to be over for a long time. A lot of people forget that the levels that were lost in the stock market when it crashed in 1929 took 24 years for it to recover. Almost a full adult life. 24 years for it just to get back to zero. So if you're buying into stocks now and you're thinking, well, I lost a lot, but I still own the stock, and so I'm going to buy more, just understand that it's going to take a long time for you to get back to zero. So what I'm talking about, though, is how you handle that situation and how we handle it as a planet. See, right now, the entire globe is in fear and panic because of these two huge challenges, huge global challenges. But not a whole lot of people are talking about how to turn that around. Because really what it requires is a refocusing of the entire planet on what's really important, on love and abundance. On love and abundance. Now, why is that so important? Because when you're in fear and panic mode, you're in survival mode, and so your body is constantly stressed. Now, this is more on the health side, but remember something. When your money's at jeopardy, you can be sure your health will be at jeopardy too. This is the stuff that keeps people up all night, and then they catch a cold, or then they catch the flu, or then they catch pneumonia, or then they catch tuberculosis, or then they catch whatever is still out there besides the new stuff, right? These are all challenges that if you don't find a way to find peace in your heart and to protect yourself and your family so that you can sleep at night, you will have a heart attack or high blood pressure or all kinds of different things that can go wrong. So it's important to remember to focus on what you want. That's the most important item of this entire video, of this entire experience. Remember to focus on what you want. So I've done a whole lot of this particular video talking about why it's so scary and why it's so big. And now I want to devote the rest of the video to why it's so important that you not focus on those things anymore. It does not mean that you don't pay attention to what's going on. It does not mean that you aren't proactive to protect your financial future and your family's financial future. It does not mean that you don't take action to make your immune system stronger and to keep your hands clean, right? And to teach your children and to take care of, make sure your friends and your family do the same thing and help keep themselves healthy and clean, right? And practice hygiene. It does not mean that at all. But actually, if you think about it, all throughout your life, probably you've been taught you should learn to master your finance. You should learn good hygiene to take care of yourself. You should make sure that you eat right and exercise once in a while. Isn't it interesting that those things are things that you've been taught most of your life and suddenly become so absolutely important in a time like this? It shouldn't only be in a time like this. It should be every day, every moment for you. And I'm not talking about OCD. I'm not talking about obsessive behavior. I'm talking about conscientious, responsible action in your life, practicing good health, practicing good financial habits. All of those things are things that you should be doing anyway. What better time than to remind yourself of what's really important and then to take action to build new habits so that you have those successful habits to maintain good health and successful habits to maintain good finance, good solid finance. And I'm not talking about making yourself a millionaire or a billionaire, just being solid financially and being intelligent about your financial decisions. Educate yourself. Learn how money actually works. Learn how health actually works. You know, there's a lot of people think that Western medicine solves everything because it's so advanced. What most people don't realize is that every type of medicine, whether it be Eastern or Western, all relies on the human body's ability to heal itself. In fact, if you go to a doctor now and you need a surgery or you need a specific medical treatment, if you're not in good enough health, they will make you wait. They won't give you the surgery right away, or they won't give you the medicine right away, because you have to be strong enough. Your constitution, your health has to be strong enough to take the treatment or to deal with the surgery. Think about that for a second. How is it that it's so advanced, but it still relies on the human body to heal itself. So you have to think now in terms of, all right, well, fine. They're going to come up with some drug or vaccine or something to help with this particular health challenge. However, it's still going to rely on my body to be able to heal itself. So I need to start thinking in terms of what do I give my body to make itself stronger, right? You want to eat certain foods, maybe take some supplements, maybe look into what's good for helping support your immune system. Maybe do a little bit of research. Why not be ready for when this treatment does come out, that then you're strong enough that you can actually take it? Now, the same thing can be applied to your financial state. You can take certain actions and do certain things in preparation for once the market turns around and starts going back up again and growing, and people start coming out and working and things start getting delivered again and the world starts to just kind of pick up steam again, so that you're able to take advantage of and be useful in that particular situation. When things start to roll again, it's going to be very, very different, but there's also going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of need. There's going to be a lot of new needs because everything culturally around the world has completely changed thanks to this particular health challenge. So think about that. But here's another immediate direct suggestions that you can use. Look into something called tapping or thought field therapy. It was originally developed by Dr. Roger Callahan, and the book is called Thought Field Therapy, Tapping the Healer Within. Look in the description below for the link to find yourself the book, and you can start using that technique right away to help reduce your stress, bring your blood pressure down, calm yourself, calm your family, and be able to think clearly. Now, there's a couple other techniques too. There's the bioenergetic synchronization technique, which is also called BEST or marching. Look into that also, and it'll be in the description as well. And there's another tool actually that I personally use, as well as those two others, that has helped a lot for me in the past. And that is called I Ching, Mary Miller's I Ching. Some people it works for and some people it doesn't. It really is up to you. But I would strongly encourage everyone watching this video to look into those 3 particular techniques on how to help keep yourself calm. Because when you're calm, you make better decisions about your health, you make better decisions about your finance. And those two are actually very, very closely related, especially nowadays. And so the last thing I would encourage you all to do is, if you don't have to even be religious. You just need to have faith in something, or even just yourself. Say a lot of prayers. Focus your energy on the planet healing itself, on all of the people and all of the animals and all of the trees and all of the bacteria and worms and insects and everything that lives on this planet as healing itself and finding a balance. And try to envision the entire planet and everyone on it in a bright, white, glowing light. I know that sounds kind of weird, but if we can get enough people saying a prayer on a regular basis of love and peace and abundance for all of the inhabitants of the entire planet, we can turn the tide of this feeling of fear and panic. Think about that for a second. The entire planet is scared right now. The entire planet is suffering at the same time. And you can be sure that the entire planet is feeling, even if they don't know what's going on. They're feeling something and they're not sure why they feel so anxious. If we can get enough people to start focusing on love and light and abundance and happiness and back onto the things that we prefer, then that will help tip the tide and help the world move back into a positive fashion. And maybe it'll only change in areas that are close near you because you're the one helping kind of be a good model. But that's how it starts. Basically with just trying to smile more, trying to laugh more, and saying prayers on a regular basis, a daily basis, for the world to heal itself and find love and abundance and good health. And that is the message that I really felt was important right now to send out to everybody. I just have noticed a lot of people are having a really tough time finding a good place in their heart and a good place in their mind. And for good reason. There's some serious stuff going on. So I hope that this video helps with that refocusing of your energy. And if you refocus and someone else sees you doing it, maybe even then they'll begin to refocus and we can start to have a much wider effect. All right, guys, I hope that you found this helpful in a pretty trying time. If you don't mind, please give us a thumbs up for the video if you liked it. And of course, please subscribe to our channel. That way you'll know when I get up these other videos as well. And until then, or until next time, I should say, stay safe and stay healthy. And I look forward to seeing everybody again.